Okay, I'm here with my friend Phoebe. Phoebe is a rescue dog who is she's kind of fearful, and she has a really awesome guardian who's done a great job of helping her be desensitized to skateboards and all sorts of kids, and she's still a little bit reactive to dogs. So in this video, we're going to go over a loose leash walking technique. Now, I'm going to show you kind of, it's really one technique, but there's a little bit of a flip to it. Now, we'll see if Phoebe's going to do this with me because she loves her mom, who's a little bit off camera. And so what we want to do is when we're doing loose leash is, first of all, we don't learn to drive on the freeway. Surgeons don't learn to operate on just by slicing people open. But when it comes to teaching dogs to walk with a loose leash, we try to do it in the moment, which is the worst possible place to learn. This is something you could actually do in your living room, and for some dogs that are overstimulated, that's where I actually start off. Now, there's a different technique that I can share a video with you on later on that for the leash pulling. But this one, for dogs, if we're facing them, they're more engaging with us. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be walking back and forth between here and there, and I'm going to be dropping treats. I'm also going to be using a clicker. And if you're going to use a clicker with a dog, you need to make sure that you first prime or load the clicker, which her guardian has done a long time ago. Now, we're going to be giving a lot of treats for this, and I like to use a treat that is a contrasty color. I usually like to use a Charlie Bears, but it's not high enough value for her, so I'm going to be using the Lotus Lamb Tripe. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show her that I have a treat. I'm going to drop it, click right before she gets it. I'm going to take a step back and drop it again. All I want her to do is orientate towards me, and I'm clicking before she gets the treat. Now, this first stage, I'm kind of starting and stopping. But eventually, I'd like to just keep on walking. Am I getting too far away from mom? Go ahead and get it. Find it. Phoebe. So this might be too far away from mom. That's okay. So we can turn around and we go the other direction. Phoebe. All right, let's do it this way. So the first stage, and this is like you might do over a week, and you want to get to the point where we're at now, where you're able to walk without having to stop where I first started. Now you can tell Phoebe loves her mom. And so, and that's okay. We want to do this where the dog feels comfortable. And this is a big park. There's kids skateboarding over there, and there's a busy street behind us. So it's not the ideal situation, but it was the closest park for us. So the first stage, and we're going to practice this after we get done filming, is we're just going to walk back and forth. And you want to do this, really, I usually like doing this for about 3 to 5 minutes each practice session. Good job. For about a week or so of just moving backwards. So we're walking backwards, they're coming towards us. We're more engaging this way. At first, you're dropping the treat about every step or every 2 steps, then every 3 steps, then every 4 steps. Eventually, the dog's kind of following along. And notice what I call this a hanging J. I don't want any tension on the leash. I'm not pulling on the leash. Dogs have an opposition response. They are programmed to pull against pressure. So anytime I pull, that's like the worst thing you do if you want the dog to walk with a loose leash. Now I'm going to do this really, this is way, way, way too quick to do it. Do you prefer her walking on your right side or your left side?
She normally goes on my right.
On your right, okay. So for camera presence, I'll have the better spot, but that's okay. All right, so drop, click, click. I know the skateboard threw you, didn't it? Now I'm clicking before she gets it, and now this is the transition. Yeah, you're going to make it a little bit challenging. So what we're doing is basically we're walking, and I'm going to coach the guardian through this. This won't be the best demonstration video. But you're walking until the dog is just used to walking with you. Then eventually, and it'll be a little bit better camera presence, I'll do it this way. That's as far away from mom as we want to get. So eventually, after you're walking back and the dog's walking, you go about 10 paces before you have to drop a treat. There you go. You can go back to mom. Then I'm going to go ahead and I drop the treat right before she gets it. I click, and then I turn and I drop the treat behind the seam of my pants. Click before she gets it. Click before she gets it. So now we're walking the same direction. So, but we want to spend about a week practicing in like 2 to 5 minute practice sessions, just walking backwards. And so I'm gonna let her actually, do you mind being on film?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and clip that on, and I'll just kind of coach you through it, because she's gonna feel a lot more comfortable doing it with mom than with me. Now also, you see the environment, there's bark and trees and leaves and all that. So that's why you wanna, she can't have milk, but having like, if your dog's not lactose intolerant, some people take like string cheese and slice it like nickels. All right, so you're gonna show her you have the treat, say her name, drop it, click before she gets it, but step backwards. So you wanna keep the treat between you and her. And drop it, step backwards, and try to drop it in front of you instead of next to you first. There you go, there you go. And then, now you want to go back to me? I don't know, we're buddies? I love that. Oh, are you just tired? This has been a long day for her. So, but the idea for this is, again, you're going to be moving backwards and you're dropping the treat between you and the dog. When you're watching the playback, you'll see that you're kind of having her come to the side. We want to make sure that we're dropping the tweet between me and the dog, and then stepping back over and over again and gradually increasing steps. And this is, again, something you want to do maybe in your apartment or in your house. And after a while, the dog is just kind of following you with that nice, loose leash. Then once you do that, I like to do a warm-up. So I might do 2 or 3, and then I kind of turn to the side. And again, when you're turning to the side, make sure you're dropping the treat behind your heel. If you throw it in front, the dog's eventually going to race ahead of you, which is the problem most people have with the dog locking on leash. Now, when you're doing this, again, try to practice in short practice sessions, 2 to 3 minutes, 4 minutes max. Go from your living room to maybe a quiet area where it's outside. There's not a lot of distractions. This is, again, too much distractions, but this is the closest thing we came up with. And then gradually work your way up to more and more distractions. Now, you can also do this on a sidewalk, and that might be a little bit easier because the sidewalk creates a little bit more of a path for the dog to follow. And then eventually, then again, you're turning, and now the dog's walking kind of right in that position. Now, dogs burn more energy on a walk by sniffing. The Guardian here knows that. A lot of people don't realize that. And a lot of these old force and punishment trainers, you got to control the walk and you tell the dog when to sniff. That's not very much fun for the dog. It's not very much fun for you. You're not going to burn as much energy. The nice thing about loose leash walking is you're allowing the dog to sniff. You're just not controlling the walk by forcing and punishing them for doing the things they want to do, because they're dogs. They should have fun. So practice this. Go at your dog's pace. And if she gets to the point like she did today and she lays down, stop and try to and I would probably start a timer, and you can see how long it is. Again, we've already been working with her outside. It's a little bit of a warmer, muggier day for LA, and so she's probably a little bit tired. So always try to keep it short and simple and end on a positive note. Well, this is my buddy Phoebe, and these are some tips you can use if you want to teach your dog to do some loose leash walking.